The biggest Malayalam film this year, Empuraan, starring superstar Mohanlal, is in the midst of a massive controversy over its portrayal of the 2002 Gujarat Riots. There's been massive backlash on social media for the film, leading to the makers now choosing to make several cuts in the film and even an apology coming from superstar Mohanlal. So they've buckled in a matter of hours to all of the pressure coming in from some groups on social media. It's also, as expected, sparked a political fight in Kerala, with the left and Congress, interestingly, on one side of the fight, alleging that Empuraan makers were forced to make these cuts by the BJP and the RSS. Is that actually the case? We'll talk about the political reactions first and then get you details of how the makers have reacted to this entire controversy. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has sent across a very clear message. In his statement, amid this controversy, he chose to watch the movie over the weekend, accompanied by his family in a theatre. A photo op, very, very rare for the Kerala Chief Minister. He never really goes out, especially on these kind of public messages of solidarity. And yet, Pinarayi Vijayan chose to do it with this movie. He then called the anger against Empuraan a hate campaign and claimed that makers were intimidated and also were silenced to ensure that no form of dissent can actually be put forth. And so he's called this undermining of creative freedom. Let's get you all the reactions that have come in from the Kerala government so far.
കലാകാരന്മാർക്ക് സാമൂഹിക പ്രശ്നങ്ങളെ വിമർശിക്കാനും സമൂഹത്തിലൂടെ എത്തിക്കാനും അവകാശമുണ്ട്. ചില ഭാഗങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പോൾ ഒഴിവാക്കും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പോലും ബാക്കി ഭാഗം എത്ര ഒഴിവാക്കിയാലും മനുഷ്യൻ ഒന്നാണെന്ന് കാണിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സന്ദേശമാണ്. ജാതിയും മതവുമല്ല, വർഗീയ ചിന്തകൾക്ക് അതീതമാണ് മനുഷ്യൻ. തൻ്റെ ഇടത്തോടു കൂടി ഇങ്ങനത്തെ സിനിമ നിർമ്മിച്ച പൃഥ്വിരാജിന് ഒരു അഭിവാദ്യം ഞാൻ അർപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്.
What has happened with the film Empuraan is really an assault on the constitutional right to freedom of expression. What is the point of having a censor board, the Sangh Parivar and all its cohorts? If they put pressure on the filmmakers to make changes, then you might as well scrap the censor board, set up a unit in the Nagpur headquarters of the RSS and let all the films be sent there. This is absolutely atrocious, outrageous.
एक फिल्म बनी है, उसको सेंसर ने सर्टिफिकेट दे दिया, उसको लोग देख रहे हैं, लाखों लोग देख रहे हैं. अब भाजपा के लोग कह रहे हैं कि इसको बैन किया जाए, तो लोगों को सोचना चाहिए कि भाजपा क्यों इस पर बैन लगाना चाहती है. अगर सच्ची बात दिखाई जाती है तो उनको बहुत बुरा लग जाता है, उनके पेट में दर्द होने लगता है. ये गलत है.
So essentially 100% backing for the film in Kerala from the Kerala government. The ruling left in Kerala has sent across a clear message of solidarity, even promoting the film, saying people should go out and watch it. You've got minister after minister going and watching the film, saying everyone should be watching this particular movie and the message it put forth. Yet, the makers are giving in to pressure. Here's an interesting situation in Kerala. The left has actually found support from their number one rival, Congress, who've also backed the film and the makers and questioned why changes, why cuts are being made now, claiming again it's because of pressure from the Sangh. So is that really the case? Has the Sangh or the BJP piled pressure on the makers to tweak the film and remove the controversial bits and pieces? Interestingly, as far as the Bharatiya Janata Party goes, they've also treaded very, very carefully on this issue. The newly appointed Kerala BJP chief Rajiv Chandrasekhar chose not to criticize the film, merely saying everyone has the right to opine on it. He says, I will not go and watch the film, but that's my personal view. So it's interesting to see that even the BJP hasn't been harsh or hugely critical of this particular film, which of course stars Mohanlal, and that's why perhaps you're seeing that hesitation from the BJP too. But listen in to how the Kerala BJP chief Rajiv Chandrasekhar has reacted to this entire storm.
None of us in the BJP have said anything remotely intolerant about it. Our General Secretary M.T. Ramesh said very beautifully on the first day that a movie is a movie and the people of Kerala and the people all over the country see a movie as a movie. A movie is not history. Since the producers of the movie themselves have recognized that there is something wrong with the movie and they are undertaking 17 cuts and applying for recensorship, I have chosen to convey to whoever follows me that I have chosen not to watch the movie. And I am obviously disappointed that a movie has been used to distort some facts. A movie is a movie, and therefore people should not read too much into it or too less into it. In any event, without us saying anything or anybody saying anything, the producers have decided, because of the feedback, I think, commercial feedback, that they want to cut the movie and then want to make edits and recensor the movie, submit it for recensorship. And somebody asked me, are you sad that Mohanlal would make a movie like this or star in a movie like this? And I said, yes, I'm sad. That's all. If Pinarayi Vijayan loves the movie, he can watch it 10 times. I have no problem with it. And if somebody dislikes the movie, as many people have, they are absolutely within their right to dislike it and criticize it.
As you heard there from the BJP, the Kerala BJP chief saying a movie is a movie. They've given in to some commercial pressure. So the BJP clearly has refused to outrightly condemn the film in any manner, saying we have our own personal views, but that doesn't matter. A film is a film. But here's where the outrage actually lies. It's with the RSS. And let's read out for you exactly what was published in the RSS mouthpiece, the organizer, over the weekend, over Empuraan, over the film. Here's what they've said. They've said that the film uses the backdrop of the 2002 riots to push a divisive anti-Hindu narrative. In the organizer, this article says that a fictional situation is created using a historical event, and so there's a narrative being created. Scenes purposely have been designed to reinforce image of Hindus as the primary aggressors of the 2002 riots. So the RSS is objecting, saying that the messaging itself is completely wrong. And then they go after Prithviraj, who, remember, has acted in the film but also is the director of Empuraan. So they've said Prithviraj has long been known, associated for his political leanings, referring to the fact that he's anti-BJP. And in the article, they list a series of common instances of Prithviraj making comments against the BJP. Now, they've also said that the film targets pro-Hindu political ideologies. Now, here's where the RSS also is critical of superstar Mohanlal, because they question an organizer in the RSS mouthpiece. They say Mohanlal's decision to be a part of this kind of a film is a betrayal of his massive fan base. And they've also questioned why he has chosen to do it, saying mystery. It remains a mystery why Mohanlal chose a propaganda story which pushes, according to them, hatred against one community. Essentially, if you read really the full article put out by the RSS mouthpiece organizer, they claim that this film is pushing an anti-Hindu narrative. They claim that it also is an attempt to disrupt communal harmony. They're saying that with one historical event, a fake narrative has been pushed forward. So we've shown you how the RSS has reacted. But here's why the RSS and many on social media are calling out the film. It's based on the 2002 riots. It's used the 2002 riots rather, and then created a fictional situation, not based on what investigators have found or what the courts have ruled or any of that, but they reflect one particular incident. And so the RSS says that Hindus are shown as primary aggressors, and it's detailed how there are violent, very graphic scenes showing Hindus attacking members of other communities. This essentially is dangerous, as it can create a divide among communities, and it's on this basis that right-wing groups have demanded action. So on social media, there's all of this debate, some backing the film, some against it. But the makers have said, we don't want anything to do with this controversy. So they've buckled to what is essentially social media pressure and nothing more, because the film is a raging hit already in Kerala. So the makers have given in. And now in a few days, you're going to see a recensored version playing in theatres with several changes. Again, let me remind you that the makers have chosen to do this voluntarily. Sources have told us that there will be 17 cuts that have been made to the film, which will reflect shortly. 17 cuts. So you'll see a lot of very, very important bits of what Empuraan looked like now being removed. What are these scenes? Scenes of violence against women being removed. This is particularly a controversial one, showing a rather graphic, violent scene against a pregnant woman. Now, that particular scene is cut. Sensitive dialogues that's deemed communal, deemed sensitive, all of that being muted. Interestingly, the antagonist's name in this movie is called Bajrangi. Now, once you see this new version being released, this recensored version, the name of the villain in the movie is being changed. So that name from Bajrangi is going to become Balraj. This is what we're hearing. So they're changing that name too because there was outrage from right-wing groups on that. Scenes of violence showing riots, essentially meant to be the 2002 riots, will be cut. So what you're going to see is about 2 to 3 minutes of the film being sliced out, and all of this largely to do with the portrayal of the 2002 riots, largely to do with graphic scenes of violence, largely to do with dialogues also that are being deemed as communal. Let's get your news break coming in on these changes. So the changes that I spoke of, the 17 cuts that Empuraan will undergo, will be coming into effect from April 2nd. So from April 2nd, theatres will be screening this new version of Empuraan with all of the changes that the makers are planning to make. 17 scenes, essentially, 17 cuts, I beg your pardon, which you will see changes of. Slicing and dicing of Empuraan. If you've seen the film, you will be able to do a before and after. If you haven't, from April 2nd, you will only be watching this recensored version where riot scenes have been cut off, graphic scenes of violence have been cut off, certain dialogues have been muted. All of these changes, including the changing of the villain's name from Baba Bajrangi, we're hearing to Balraj, all of that will happen. 2 to 3 minutes of the film being removed. Let me bring in our entertainment editor, Tushar Joshi, for more details. Tushar, just list out for us the changes. We understand this will be coming into effect from April 2nd.
So what sources have told India Today is that close to 17 cuts have been suggested from the producer's end to the CBFC. Now, this decision to make 17 cuts happened over the weekend. What are the cuts that will happen in the film was also discussed in a closed-door meeting. The makers have told the CBFC the kind of cuts that will happen. These cuts include various scenes of a certain scene that includes rioting, a certain scene that includes pregnant women being violated. The decision to make these cuts was taken over the weekend. The number of cuts is 17. From what India Today has learned is that these cuts will reflect in the film from Wednesday, April 2nd. And in most likely, the chances of the film getting a new certification will happen either today late evening or tomorrow, which is Tuesday, which is today's Eid. So post Eid, the certification might happen on a Tuesday.
You know, this is a film that's passed the censor board certification, that's been given the certification, and yet now you're going to see a recensoring of it. 17 cuts that, in fact, the filmmakers have chosen to make. So again, it'll go through that entire process of being presented before the censor board and getting a certification. April 2nd, Tushar tells us, is when you're going to be seeing the new version of Empuraan, sliced and diced Empuraan, being shown in theatres across the country. So the old version, or the current one as it is, will be a thing of the past. These are the makers trying essentially to bury this entire controversy. So while the makers have agreed to make all of these changes, there's been no comment from Prithviraj. He is essentially facing all of the heat over this issue. Superstar Mohanlal is the only one who's put out a statement. He's issued a rather detailed one, and he said that this is on behalf of the entire team, where essentially he confirmed that yes, they're making changes, but even took it a step further and apologized. Let's play out for you his full statement.
I know that some of the political and social themes that have been introduced in the making of the film Empuraan, the second part of Lucifer franchise, have caused great distress to many of my loved ones. As an artist, it is my duty to ensure that none of my films are hostile to any political movement, ideology, or religious sect. Therefore, I and the Empuraan team are sincerely sorry for the distress caused to my loved ones, and with the realization that the responsibility for it lies with all of us who worked behind the film. We have decided together to remove such themes from the film. I have lived my film career as one of you for the last 4 decades. Your love and trust are my only strength. I believe that there is no Mohanlal who is greater than that.
So that's a detailed statement that came in from the superstar, where he's immediately apologized, essentially trying to ensure that this doesn't blow up to become a bigger controversy. I want to bring in Shibimol. She's joining us live from Thiruvananthapuram. She's been tracking all the reactions that have come in politically and otherwise as well. Shibi, how is the Malayalam film industry actually looking at this? Interestingly, there's been no statement from Prithviraj or, for that matter, the writer of the film's plot. Both haven't reacted. Prithviraj, yes, has shared what Mohanlal has put out.
Exactly, Akshata. In fact, it's very surprising that nobody from the industry has openly come out, speaking about this whole controversy, except for, especially in solidarity or extending their support to both Mohanlal as well as Prithviraj, both of them very influential figures in the industry as a whole. We only saw Mallika Sukumaran, Prithviraj's mother, an actor, coming out saying that there have been allegations raised against my son, saying that he has fooled the producers and Mohanlal. But let me make it very clear that the film, everything that was planned to be shown in the film was approved by Mohanlal as well as the producer Anthony Perumbaur, who's the producer, who runs the production company Ashirwad Cinemas, which is owned by Mohanlal himself. So both of them knew about it, is what we have seen, but we are not seeing any other prominent faces coming out or speaking about it or addressing this concern like how we have seen in the past. And this is probably for the first time. I don't think in the recent time we have seen a Malayalam cinema being edited, after a lot of complaints and after a controversy being ignited. That has not happened in a very, very long time, and that too of a film like Empuraan. So but the political controversy is playing out very, very strongly, with the CPM and the Congress coming out expressing their support, while the BJP, though they are maintaining their silence. We've seen the RSS sharply criticizing the film. Even, in fact, after Mohanlal, apologized, there was, visibly the Congress and the CPIM seemed very upset, though they called it a personal choice of Mohanlal to, whether he wants to apologize, it's his personal choice. But we saw some of the comments, some of the reactions coming in saying that if you're going to edit out scenes that has hurt the Sangh Parivar, then what about those scenes that trolled, CPM as well as Congress? That should also be edited, is what they were saying. So, and also,
this doesn't end anywhere. Then you will see all of these demands essentially making headlines and then filmmakers giving in, which is why it's so surprising that nobody really in the Kerala film industry has taken a stand on this issue. Shibi, I also want to understand from you, because you're seeing this entire issue being blown up as a massive controversy. If you actually look at the criticism for Empuraan, it's limited to essentially a lot of social media anger. There's no backlash per se. So which is why I find this move very surprising by the makers, that they've already gone ahead and made those changes. How is the film doing otherwise, Shibi? Has this controversy affected it in any way?
Akshata, definitely not, because this was the most anticipated film of Malayalam cinema in a very long time. It's the most expensive film ever made in Malayalam industry, which, as cinema lovers, everybody hoped to change the face of Malayalam cinema. It was, dubbed as the KGF of Malayalam cinema. How KGF changed the industry as a whole when it comes to business, because Malayalam cinema for the longest time has been spoken about the quality, but this was something that we all anticipated to change the business of the Malayalam film industry. A lot of risk was involved, but the film is doing extremely well. Within 2 days, within 48 hours, the film grossed 100 crore, which is huge as far as Malayalam cinema is concerned, because it's a very small market. It is almost on its way to become the industry. The industry hit is currently Manumal Boys, which, has grossed over 200 crore worldwide, which is, Empuraan is expected to cross that in the next few days, is what we are understanding. So the film has not been affected in any way. When it comes to the business part of it, it's not been affected. And that's exactly some people are asking also, why to make edits, why to give up to the pressures of a particular section when the film will not be affected by it, is what is also something that a lot of people are asking. In fact, before the re-edited version comes out, we're seeing people thronging the theatres to watch the original version of the film. That's also something, when we visited a theatre today, we heard some of them saying that we wanted to watch the film before it gets edited. And today also the 6 a.m. early morning shows were scheduled because there was a major demand for the for tickets, is what we are understanding. So the business has not been affected. The business is going as far as they anticipated. There's also criticism that was this controversy created itself to help the film gain more and more in terms of business.
Interesting angle. So we can't answer that, but clearly it's working because it's creating more demand right now for the current version of Empuraan. There's also, of course, been a lot of criticism of the film's story. which is valid, of Mohanlal's entry, which again is valid, of how much screen time Mohanlal has, all of that valid. But was there really a need for this kind of a controversy where you're seeing edits being made to the film Empuraan? Shibi, thanks very much for joining us with those details. This is, of course, a huge controversy that snowballed into a political fight as well, which we will track very closely considering Kerala goes to elections next year.